feel like we have a good setup, and we can actually talk to our boy Joe Calderon. He's live he was there when the UAlbany women upset Florida. Joe, what was it like there in the stadium?
Listen, first off, what's going on, Jeff? What's going on, Great A?
Hey, man.
Hey. What's going on, boys? What can I tell you? Where to start? Pretty much with about 6.5 minutes left in the game, it was like UAlbany was dead to rights. Teresa Richards fouled out at 14 points, and you just watch her. And you guys, I'm sure you've seen enough UAlbany games to know that it takes a lot to get this girl down. And she's always positive no matter what, but her head was down. She was noticeably upset. She goes to the bench, and everybody on press row were thinking, best player in the conference is out of the game. They're down 11. It's over. Man, shows you how much I know. Amani Tate scored. I'm great at this, right? Amani Tate scored 28 points on some people that you don't normally see hit some clutch shots down the stretch. They did. Aaron Coughlin did a big bucket. Freshman Heather Forrester, who had to play some big minutes late because, their front court was decimated with foul problems, noticeably, obviously, Teresa Richards. And then Tiana Jo Carter had the biggest bucket of her life with about 15 seconds to go. And, they were down 14 at the half. They were down 11 again with 6 minutes to go, and the best player of the American East on the bench out of the game because she fouled out. 9 out of 10 times, how do you think that's going to end? You know what I mean? It was just that one time where, the role players stepped up big time. And in the post-game press conference, guys, everybody said, no disrespect to our fans, but we all said, we're not losing this game. We got to win it for Teresa. We can't send her out like this. And they did it, and they come back, and they beat Florida 61-59. It's unbelievable. And, oh, by the way, it gives the women's program their first ever NCAA tournament win. Quite the way to get that first win, right?
Absolutely.
Joe, the biggest criticism that I've had of the UAlbany women is that they don't shoot it a lot or well from the outside. Just 29% from three this year. It wasn't like they started shooting from outside today either. So how did they make this upset happen?
Well, I tell you right now, their defense was tenacious. They held UAlbany finished the game on a 15-2 run. The Gators, when they were up 11, they didn't score another bucket until about 3 seconds left in the game. They were scoreless for the last 7 minutes of that game. That last basket for Florida really meant nothing. So essentially, they held the Gators scoreless for the last 7.5 minutes of the game. It was all defense. And, I actually asked Amani, I was like, what's it like to have a game like this in a game like this? And she basically shrugged it off today. And then right after, Coach Abe said, Amani had a great game, God bless her, but it was our defense that won it for us, not Amani's 28 points. So it was defense that really turned things around. And, it's a big reason why they're moving on to the second round to play the winner of Syracuse or Army.
Syracuse was up big on Army at last check. What's the confidence level around the Danes right now? Coach A, we know how intense she is. She's going to believe that they can win the second round game too, right?
Yeah, well, in the post-game press conference, it was the last question I was asked to her. They said, okay, how long is it going to take you to, switch gears and start thinking about the winner of this next game? And she's like, as soon as I get out of here. We know a lot about Army because we played them earlier in the year, and Army actually beat UAlbany. They know about Syracuse, although they haven't played Syracuse this year. Right now, from an X and O standpoint, I think it has very little to do with anything. I think right now, what makes them so dangerous is their confidence. Just think about it. Again, if we just said, okay, the best player in the American East fouls out of the game with 7 minutes to go, and they're down 11, you're thinking it's over. But they showed that, they have some other moving parts on this team that when called upon, they can pick up the slack when Richards doesn't have a big game.
Joe Calderon from CapitalRegionSportsNet.com joining us. He live saw the UAlbany Great Dane women upset the Gators. You said that confidence. You said that mindset. We're not going to lose. We're going to win this for Teresa. In your opinion, how far can that take the Great Danes?
Well, listen, I've had an opportunity to sit here and watch about, I would say, 90% of this first half of the Syracuse Army game. And I'm not going to lie and say I'm an expert on all this Syracuse women's basketball, but the Orange look really, really good. They're up 25 points at the half on Army. I just think it was getting that first win out of the way for UAlbany, to be honest with you. And whoever wins this game, and it looks like, I mean, there's still a whole second half, but, Syracuse is in the driver's seat right now. Either one of these teams has to be worried about what they saw. I mean, again, best player on the team, somebody who's averaging 25 points and 10 rebounds a game. She's on the bench for essentially the whole fourth quarter, and this team finds a way to win a game. So regardless if it's Army or Syracuse, those teams are going to have their hands full. And a big reason why is because these guys right now are flying high with confidence. I mean, you should have saw them. It's the first time, and I've been to a lot of press conferences, where the head coach walks in and gives the Ric Flair, like, woo! I mean, that was okay. I'm not even kidding. I mean, I don't think she knew it was the Ric Flair woo, but that's what she did. I mean, how many coaches walk into a press conference and do that? I mean, they're just flying high right now.
What was the X factor in today's game? I mean, because UAlbany didn't shoot it well from the three-point line. They really don't even try to do that, as I said a second ago. Were they great at the foul line? Did they take Florida's star player out of the game? I mean, I watched a lot of the second half when we got here to Wolves. What was the X factor to you?
Well, and the funny part is, Brady, when you mentioned star player, that not covering SEC women's basketball a lot, I was thinking, well, they're a top 25 team. There has to be that signature star. What made Florida so good coming in is that they're so deep. I mean, there were a couple of times in the second half where they didn't sub a player in. It looked like a hockey ship. I mean, they brought in a whole new starting five and pulled out the starting, the five that were out on the floor. So their key to success for the whole season was their depth. And that everyone on the roster except for one player for Florida scored a basket in this game. Again, the key play, and I hate to sound like a broken record, it was just down the stretch. They kicked up the defensive intensity, and Albany Tate. And, a lot of us, we were at the shoot around, and trying to be prognosticators and experts, and make predictions, and how's Albany going to win this game? And everybody to a man said, listen, you know what you're going to get out of Teresa. It's got to be Amani Tate, who, if you go back and you look at her season, she's capable of big games like this. She's had a couple of 29-point games. She had a 33-point game earlier in the season. And people forget, she's the second leading scorer on her team, but she also happens to be the second leading scorer in the America East. So she's capable of doing this. She just happened to pick the biggest moment in the women's program history to do it.
Joe Calderon helping us out from CapitalRegionSportsNet.com. Joe, thank you so much, man. Go enjoy that Albany vibe out there.
I'm going to do me a favor. Grab a couple of brews for me, all right?